Hi there, you're on Gossip Says channel. Enjoy watching, subscribe and like it. It's growing our community. Story 1. Future mother-in-law doesn't want her son to marry defective merchandise. Original post, December 8, 2019. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact term for my condition. Basically, I have the correct parts. None of them happen to work. My uterus cannot generate lining, so I can never get pregnant. The bright side is that I have never had a period in my life. I'm 32. My boyfriend's mother found this out. I don't know how. She may have heard a family member talking about it. My family knows about it, and several of his family members that I have told. When she found out and confronted me about it, she then forbade her son from marrying me because I couldn't provide him with children. Needless to say, my boyfriend and I have discussed it, and though a bit disappointed, are fine with it, me unable to conceive. She is now telling all her family members not to attend our future wedding because she doesn't want her son marrying someone defective who can't give him what she thinks he needs. If she can come around and change her mind on this, that would be great, but as it is right now, I don't want her at the wedding for fear of her doing or saying something to ruin the event. And he says that while he loves his mother, he is torn as to whether to invite her or not. We may just have a quick civil ceremony and only invite a few friends and relatives and tell her later. But she doesn't even want to come over when we invite her for dinner. Not sure what to do, getting tired of her calling me defective to everyone else. His father is okay with it. His aunts and uncles are understanding for the most part. We have talked about adoption in the future. But she is also against that as it is not his blood and wouldn't really be her grandchild. Just ranting here. Thanks for reading. Relevant comments. For the commenter who said she would find something else anyway to complain about, my boyfriend's best friend came over for dinner last night and we told him that we might not have a wedding, just a simple civil service at the courthouse, and told him that my boyfriend's mother is the reason for our change in plans, and he started trying to guess what could be the reason. It ranged from joking about my size, I'm 6'1" and 3 inches taller than my boyfriend, and yes, the weather is fine up here, and no, I don't play or even like basketball. I get those a lot, to the fact that we are currently living together, pre-marriage. When we told him the actual reason, he already knew of my condition. He was quite shocked and said he'd be there for us no matter what. That and all of your positive comments on the situation have helped me to calm down. I was so upset about this and about to walk out the door and leave him and move on with my life, and I definitely didn't want to feel like that was my only option. My boyfriend is going to confront his mother about it tomorrow night. He has to do some stuff for work tonight. Thus the delay, and I'll update how that all turns out. Thanks again. More about Toop's condition specifically. Ida produce eggs, and we have to use birth control because the doctors don't want a fertilized egg starting where it shouldn't be. My best friend since I was 3 has volunteered to be a surrogate if we need one, but I don't want to take her up on that as all 3 of her births had complications, so I wouldn't want to put her through more. Update comment. December 10, 2019, same post. I have received 2 text messages today before tonight's confrontation. One good, one bad. The good one was from my future father-in-law, who said that he's appalled by his wife's actions and he loves me like the daughter he never had, and he thinks his son is fortunate to have found me. The second was from his aunt, who basically said the same thing, but added that her sister, my future mother-in-law, spoke to her about the whole thing, asked her not to attend the wedding, and then made some comment about why do I even have breasts? It's not like I'm going to use them for anything. I am so nervous for tonight. My boyfriend has asked me not to come because he thinks my being there will make it worse. So after work, I'm going to stay at home, order in a pizza, and curl up on the couch and watch TV while petting the cat. That last part is not a euphemism. I get a lot of comfort playing with and petting my cat. Update post. December 12, 2019. Future mother-in-law 1. I'm no longer in her son's life. If you read my previous post on the matter, I can't have children. My soon-to-be mother-in-law didn't like that and did what she could to sabotage our future wedding, telling people not to attend and calling me defective. My future no more husband and his father were going to sit down with her Tuesday night and try to talk sense into her. Well, she won. I don't know what happened or what was said, but my boyfriend came home and we got into a big fight. Despite what we had discussed before, he now said that he wanted kids and if I couldn't provide them, the wedding was off. I basically said that sounds like your mother, not you. He replied with I can speak for myself, and it escalated into a bunch of shouting at each other, and I quickly put together a bag and went to my parents for the evening. I called in sick from work the next day and basically stared at the ceiling. We first met when I was 9, 23 years ago. It went from being friends to more romantic. We dated through high school and went to college together. Then after graduation, moved in together. I have never dated or seen anyone else. Neither has he as far as I know. We waited so long to get married because it wasn't important to us as long as we were together. That changed when my dad got a terminal disease and he expressed his wish to walk me down the aisle. I'm his only daughter before he became too ill to walk. I'll be giving 2-month notice at work on Monday to give them time to find a replacement and for me to train them, then moving back to Germany. I didn't mention that my dad is German, my mom American. They originally met when she went there for work. I was born there and lived there at first and still have friends and family there. My friend, who I had mentioned before had volunteered to be a surrogate, has said I can stay in her spare room with her and her family until I get situated on my own there. I'm sorry, no happy ending here. The evil mother-in-law won and got me out of her son's life. Technically, she got me out of the country. I know I could move elsewhere in town, or even in the state, but I don't want to be alone here. There's too many memories, and I have a strong support group, friends, family overseas, so that's where I'm going. I have been picked on so many times for so many things over the years, from my height to my accent when I first moved here. Gone now. I sound like any other Midwestern girl to other things, but this one hurts. I was able to handle the others by telling myself that's who I am. If they don't like it, that's their problem, and I'm sure in a few years, I'll think that about this situation too. But it's too soon. Thanks for reading and your kind words of support. I'm sorry if this seems incoherent. I'm just ranting here and crying, so it's hard to keep a decent train of thought. Update in comments. Same day, same post. First of all, thank you all for your support and kind comments. 2 weird things happened today. One I'm extremely embarrassed about, and the other I thought was just weird. First, on my lunch hour, I had to run to the grocery store to pick up some things for my mom for dinner tonight. At the grocery store, who should I happen to run into but she who once could have been my mother-in-law. I don't know what to call her, so she will be Barbie. Walking down an aisle, who should happen to appear at the other end but Barbie. We made brief eye contact. Then she immediately turned and bolted out of there. Guess she had nothing to say. The second thing was my dad came with me to the house to help me pack up my things. He's already agreed to act as my representative when the house is sold to make sure I get my fair share. While there, he stands in the corner and just glares at my ex the whole time. Then my ex has this brilliant idea to ask for one last time right in front of my father. I guess I kinda snapped. I grabbed my sweater. You can guess what part of me was right under it that I grabbed and said you are never going to see these, much less touch them or play with them again or anything else. He turned red and walked out the door. And my dad went from staring with a "you hurt my daughter, you're lucky to be alive" look to just bursting out in laughter once the door closed behind my ex. He then said, "I can't believe you just did that," to which I replied, "Neither can I." For this and the rest of my story, anytime my dad and I speak to each other, I am translating it to English beforehand rather than typing it twice. I just basically felt myself up in front of my dad. We then went home for dinner with my mom, and halfway through, my mom asked, "What does Vanessa's, the girl I'm moving in with in Germany, husband do again?" And I just lost it. A perfectly honest question. but I just let it all go in big braying sobs. After a while, my dad came over and carried me upstairs to bed like he used to do when I was 5, where I am typing this now on my laptop. I told him to tell Mom that she did nothing wrong. I just needed to release, and unfortunately for her, that was the time. A lady at work already volunteered to take my cat, and my dad will store stuff like my tennis trophies and yearbooks and pictures upstairs at his house. He said that even though I may not want those photos now, perhaps in 5 years or so, I will want them, so he's gonna keep them until I'm ready to take them back. Thanks again for all your kind words and support. I will update as warranted and answer any further questions if I can. Update comment. December 13th, 2019. Well, I gave notice at work today, had some more weirdness, and am now lying in bed with my laptop. First, while at lunch today, a dozen roses came with a note that simply said I'm sorry. No more, no less, but I recognized the handwriting. I asked my coworker if she would like them to give to her little daughter at home, and when she said no, I know why you got them and I don't feel right taking them. So in the trash they went with the note. I was going to wait until Monday to give notice, but the gossip factory had been running full-time the last couple of days, so I went and told my boss that I'm leaving, but I'll stay to help train a replacement. My last day is ironically Valentine's Day. What the hell? I've got nothing else to do that day. I'll spend 2 weeks after that here saying bye to people, going to a few of my favorite places in town, and then on February 29th, my parents are going to drive me to Chicago, about 4 hours away, and I leave for Munich on March 1st. My friend Vanessa lives in Munich, so I'll stay at her place a few days while I try to figure out where to go and what to do. My hometown is about a 21-hour drive away, and I still have family there, so I'll decide between now and then which one to base myself in. It's a small town, maybe about 40,000, I'm not sure the exact number, but it does have a castle and a large tin soldier museum, so I don't know if I'll stay in Munich. More opportunities, go up there and try to find something, or go somewhere else in Germany, like Hamburg or Berlin. I also went to the realtor who's selling the house and had to sign a bunch of papers giving my father authority to make any decisions regarding selling. The lady said no problem. She has a lot of experience with divorcing couples, and all I thought was I was never even married. I came home and we had dinner. Then my mother and I sat down and she braided my hair. It has always been our thing to do this for mommy-daughter time. We did it for the big, it's not just for peeing talk. When I was first diagnosed with my condition, before the state tennis tournament, when I went away to college, basically big moments. I think this counts as one of those. Then my ex's best friend called, said he heard what happened, said it was pretty crappy, he used stronger language. But there might be children reading this and wanted me to come over for an evening with his family before I left. I was more friends with his wife than him, but I'll go anyway. Again, I can't thank this community enough for their support and kind words. Sorry if I branch into irrelevant topics at times, but I just type as I think, and this is all going faster than I thought. Last week, I thought I might have to start planning for a wedding, and now I'm planning on leaving the country and starting my life over. My mother also suggested we go to the zoo in Chicago on my last day in America. I went there when we first moved to America. She thinks it would make the perfect bookend to my whole 23-year stay in America. It seems like just yesterday when we moved into a new house and a nice boy and his mother came over, brought us a basket of cookies, and welcomed us to the neighborhood while I was out front keeping my dog away from the movers. Times and people sure do change. Relevant comments. A user is rightfully disgusted and baffled at the "one last time" comment. Was never like that, or I wouldn't have fallen in love with him in the first place. It's almost as if his switch was suddenly switched from good to evil. Simpsons reference. He used to be embarrassed to even hint in front of my father that we were having sex. Then he has no problem asking for one last time in front of him. My coworker said that I should treat it as if he had died, and mourn the loss and move on, and someone else took his place. I also don't know why, after receiving supportive emails from a couple of his family members, his father and aunt, I've now heard nothing since from either of them. I didn't know his mom had that much power over them. Then again, I didn't know until recently how much power she had over my ex. A commenter hypothesizes maybe he would have been written out of the will. I would have thought that too. But they don't make much, enough to live on, and have no holdings I am aware of. But maybe there's a secret stash somewhere that only family knows about. To be continued.